Welcome to Masterminds in Maintenance, a podcast for those with new ideas in maintenance. I'm your host, Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Upkeep. Each week, I'll be meeting with a guest who's had an idea for how to shake things up in the maintenance and reliability industry. Sometimes the idea failed, sometimes it made their business more successful, and other times their idea revolutionized an entire industry. Today, I'm super excited. We've got Ben Handley on the show. When Ben was 19 years old, he left school and followed his dad to Pepsico in Coventry, UK, where he began working as an entry-level role as a seasoning operator, essentially filling a small hopper with seasoning, sweeping floors, and emptying bins. Now, Ben is a senior leader at PepsiCo, working as a plant maintenance manager. From sweeping floors at 19 to now being responsible for multi-million pounds worth of assets on sites and accountable for a multi-million pound budget, while also leading a large team of 45 individuals at the largest snack manufacturing site in Europe, which spans all of 12 years of your working career. Ben, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Ryan. Firstly, I want to say thanks for having me on the podcast. It's great to be able to share my story. I love what you're doing in this space. The content that you're pushing out, I'm all over it. It's definitely down my street. So yeah, I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you, Ben, for joining us on today's Masterminds in Maintenance. I know I give the super brief introduction to you and your background, but would love to hear from you, Ben. Can you tell us more about your journey?
Yeah, so I'm 31 now, married, 2 kids, big fan of classic cars. I'm actually coming up to my 13th year now in PepsiCo, but really started working when I was really 11 years old, helping my mum and dad. So my dad worked extremely hard when I was a child. He was doing like 7 days a week at a screen printing business, and he'd bring artwork home, and we would help him as kids. So really, it's in my blood to kind of work hard. Throughout my whole teens, early teens, and late teens, I was in and out of work. Well, I probably should be really in school and studying, but for me, I just really had a big appetite for earning money and kind of working my way around and learning new things. I really enjoyed working with people, especially older people. So that's kind of where I got the bug for work. I kind of quickly learned that, school was not really, I went to quite a disruptive school. So quickly learned that I wasn't very interested in school, and I wanted to be kind of on the ladder, earning money and bringing home the money and getting that big paycheck, I guess. And that's really where a bit of background.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like money is one motivation, but also like going through the struggles is almost a bigger motivation than anything. Just saying you want to get out of that, and it sounds like you've really made your career in this space of maintenance and reliability. Congrats on going on to your 13th year. We've spoken to a few guests over the past few weeks about how their industry is getting impacted by the global pandemic that's going on, obviously the coronavirus. We've seen some businesses get completely shuttered due to this, and we've also talked to some businesses and folks in the industry that are actually like doing very well. I'm curious, Ben, PepsiCo, where are you guys on the spectrum, and how is coronavirus affecting you?
So it's a really good point. Probably the latter. We're extremely busy, probably just as busy as before the kind of the pandemic. It's taught us a lot. We had to react very quick. So certainly week 1 and week 2. I was really out of my comfort zone. I'm a very planful person. So then I was coming to work and having to react to mass amounts of absence, issues across the plant. Reliability is actually good, but it was really kind of like, how are we going to do the work? How are we going to execute maintenance? We have a lot of priority work and legal compliance that we need to do. And it was just, we needed to make decisions fast. And that, for me, I am very planful. It pushed me out of comfort zone, but it's made the team so strong. My engineering team, I have a lot of high risk individuals that will now be off for 3 months, which is a struggle. But so they're working from home. A lot of my team are working from home. I'm still at the base. So even that brings challenges as well. But it's just brought us so close together as a team. I'm seeing some really good stuff come out of it. I actually really enjoy how things are changing with the team and shaping up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked to a few of our, few people in the industry, and the folks that are still, let's call it, deemed essential and do have to, obviously maintain the manufacturing plant. You guys are basically doing more with less people. I'm curious, how have you guys adapted to these changing times, and how have you also like maintained a positive culture with your team of 45?
So we spent a lot of time on communication. So we're spending, those that are back at base, we're spending a lot of time on the front line, talking to people, reassuring people. Communication has been absolutely fantastic from the senior leaders above right down to the senior leaders on site, just to make people feel like a little bit safer and better. It's really, it's in certain times for everyone. But we've just really rose up to the challenge with what we're doing. We've obviously spent a lot of money to make sure that we're meeting the legal, the government guidelines. We've done so much across the plant. The plant, every time I walk through the doors, there's something different. Either it's a new hand wash station, or it's hard to keep up, and the guidelines keep coming, new guidelines. And so certainly from a people manager point of view, that brings challenges to just remember all the new stuff. You haven't got much time to put it into practice. But with the team, we normally plan shut down sort of 3 weeks out. We're now doing we're planning the next 3 ahead almost in one day. We're doing so much in a day. All the kind of rule books are out the window. We're just almost this kind of reactive state where we never want to be as a maintenance team. Actually, we're really good. We're really geared up to deal with that as an engineering team. That's kind of where we thrive best.
Yeah, and I'm curious, do you have any advice for people who are going through something similar as you guys with your business, where you basically are being forced to do, more with fewer people, knowing that, you've had to send some high-risk individuals home? Any advice to some of our listeners who are still working, who are in a very similar position as you in Pepsico?
I guess I'd cover it from different areas. So as a people manager, I would say you've got to connect with your team. It's so important to connect with the people that are working on site. We're all in it together, but also connect with the people that are not at site. From a mental health point of view, it's very difficult to be at home when you're on your own, especially if you've got kids, and especially those high-risk individuals, because they're obviously very worried as well. So from people managers' point of view, it's all around great communication, and spending time with the teams. Don't batten the hatches down and go and hide in an office, because it's not good business. Then for the people that are on the shop floor, it's keep talking, raise what our team have done. We call it voice your opinion fearlessly. If people have issues or concerns, they could talk to anyone, right up to the plant manager. They can have that open conversation and say, I'm concerned about this, and they will be listened to, they will be valued, and we'll do something about it. And this sort of last 3 weeks have kind of shown that. So we've had issues where people have been uncomfortable with procedures or the social distancing, and we've just stepped up and put measures in place to make people feel better at work. Very difficult, that social distancing one. That's the biggest challenge that we've had.
Yeah, especially in a small plant, with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think the topic that you really honed in on was this idea around communication. And I think that's absolutely critical for any maintenance reliability team that's still working right now and on the shop floor. Communication is so key, especially when there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And like you mentioned, Ben, changes are happening so frequently, and the different rules, regulations, laws being passed are just happening at breakneck speed. So this communication factor is so important. And it sounds like you and your team have done a really good job at that already. On the flip side to that question, Ben, any advice, words of wisdom for people in the industry who, let's call, aren't working at all, and their production floor has actually stopped?
I think, well, I've been doing a bit of this anyway, even though I am still full time. There's so much content out there at the minute. It's a great time to learn new things. It's a great time to look at those objectives, long-term strategies that you want to develop that normally the day job gets in the way of. I don't think you need to just down tools. There's so much you could do to get ahead of the curve. So when we do go back to business as usual, you're geared up to almost go full pout into, where you want to be, where you want to take the team. That's kind of, there's great, while we're all going virtual, LinkedIn is full of webinars. Most evenings there's now webinars and training sessions. It's I'm finding very useful myself, but certainly the people that got a lot of time on their hands, you can fill your boots with them all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously masterminds and maintenance. We've got one resource for all of our listeners. Ben, another question, and I am kind of asking you to predict the future on this one a little bit. But how do you think, when this goes back to normal, at some point it will, we know that it will. How do you think the coronavirus pandemic is going to change the future of food and beverage manufacturing, if at all?
I think across the board, our ability to adapt, which is what we've always wanted to do, our ability to adapt quick is going to be improved across the board, because that's what everyone is having to do across all the functions in Pepsico. It's making quick decisions, and that carries a certain element of risk, but actually sometimes risk is good, because you can challenge the status quo. But also, I think the remote working and how we manage our team's time and the time that they spend, not just working as 9 till 5. I'm personally seeing a lot from my team that are working from home. I feel like we're getting a lot more done, and that trust there for people to do that it brings a good culture to the team as well. I know we always mention this word culture. It's the dreaded word in maintenance reliability, but it's anything that we can do to improve that is always something that we're looking to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, this idea of like change is happening again at this breakneck speed. And what I feel so good about is the fact that so many companies are rising up to this challenge. So many companies are just changing at a breakneck speed to really help the entire community, really help people in the industry as well. And I feel really good about that. Companies like PepsiCo, for example, I'm sure you guys are making some changes that have kind of been on the docket for several years. And because of this, it's kind of been this catalyst to push that forward, because we've known for several years that this is really important. Ben, I'm also curious, what are some of the biggest challenges that you've either, had to face during the coronavirus pandemic and problem, or you still are facing at PepsiCo?
The biggest one is you don't know what you're going to walk into. So in terms of absence, it can change hourly or daily. So I'm almost constantly buried in kind of manning matrices to make sure that we have enough skills and resource on shift to keep the 7 lines running. Obviously, we're not running 7 at one time, but we've still got 7 production lines. But the biggest challenge for me, I think, as a manager is dealing with those high-risk people and those conversations. It's a worry for me as a manager that, every time I get a phone call or a text in the evening that it's bad news, and that's, it's the time that you dread as a manager that there's going to be an issue with your team, or someone's going to be taken ill. With a team of 45 and quite an older generation of people within my team, it's always something, it's something that you fear most as a manager. Luckily, it hasn't happened yet, but it's just there. It's kind of like a bit of a cloud that's there.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that as well. We've got a team of close to 100 people now, and fortunately for us, we do have the ability for all of us to work remote because we are a technology company. But obviously, we're so thankful for the people that are still working, helping us keep food on our tables, helping us take care of us when we're sick if you're in hospitals. And kind of on that same topic, obviously a lot of countries, a lot of businesses have ordered these stay-at-home mandates. And I guess for me, for you, Ben, what does it feel like knowing that for as long as we're under quarantine, you know, you guys, your business, your company is deemed essential. How does that feel knowing that, all of us, we're still shut in and indoors?
Uh, when you talk to the guys, we feel really proud to be able to carry on doing what we do best. And we put it that, you can have the argument that we're not an essential food, but what we do during this time is give people that moment of joy where they can eat something that they want to eat, and have a bit of normality, I guess, feel that bit of normality. When you get your bag of crisps or snacks, that's your comfort blanket, I guess. If we weren't working and producing, and when you go to the supermarkets and you look at the shelves, and, at times we're not on the shelves because people want our products so much, it's telling you that actually people want to buy our products during this time. And so it's good to be able to deliver that to people. Definitely, as a manager, having that huge team, watching us all come together, again, that just fills me with pride. And messages above from, CEOs and from America and people in the UK. We've had videos sent to us, from people that work in Green Park, in kind of head office, sending us videos saying how proud they are of us. It just gives you that kind of sense of purpose during this time.
Absolutely, Ben. And, you mentioned that some people may not view you guys as an essential business, but, I think I definitely believe that you guys are. For me, I have the luxury to go to the grocery store and pick up food and bring it home so I can eat it at home. That without that, obviously our business or our lives could not go on. So I'm very thankful for you, for people in the industry that do continue to work to help supply food for us on the table. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all of your colleagues as well that do continue to go to work and, again, help supply food to stock the grocery stores to keep us fed at home.
Thank you.
We've got some interesting buying patterns here in the US. I'm curious, is there like panic buying across Europe and, Australia? Is this affecting the demand for the PepsiCo goods?
There's still, I went shopping this afternoon, and it's not just us, but the shelves are still quite sparse, and it's quite worrying time, especially when you've got two children to feed as well, and a wife. And funny enough, it's all the snacks category that can be often quite sparse. So it's you go and get a bar of chocolate, and there's not much choice on the shelf. So it is telling you that kind of as a nation, we're still going into we're not going just to go and get the essentials. We are still getting that comfort food. It's got better, certainly. At the start, every single shelf in the shop was empty. You've heard all the bits around blue roll and stuff. But no, it's really good that, we're full power at the factory. We're still running our usual maintenance programs. We're still trying to maintain everything that we can. It feels kind of business as usual, but it's just it's taken a lot of effort behind the scenes, a lot of sleepless nights, I guess, certainly from senior leaders, to make this happen and feel like business as usual, because it certainly isn't actually happening that way.
Yeah, definitely. Ben, what do you think are going to be some lessons learned after all of this? We talked a little bit about change management. We talked a little bit about moving fast and being adaptable. I'm curious, you think there are going to be any lessons learned?
I think certainly for PepsiCo, we've reacted so quick, because usually everyone can say that we're, heard it before, that we're kind of like a big oil tanker. It takes ages to navigate. So for us to make decisions almost overnight that are massive, that impact the whole of the UK, Europe workforce, I think we should be really proud of what we've done with that. I think almost going back to our emergency preparedness, there's nothing in there around pandemics and stuff. So I think that'll definitely go into if this happens, what do we default to? There's certainly stuff around there. But certainly from Pepsico, it's been really impressive what's come from above to allow us to operate with the government guidelines.
That's awesome. And it sounds like, PepsiCo has done a tremendous job at not just reacting to this, but also helping support, all the workers on the front lines. What measures has PepsiCo taken to ensure safety for those folks working on the front lines? And, do you have any recommendations, tips for other businesses that are in a similar position as well?
Okay, so the biggest one was social distancing. So that's proved challenging, but we've implemented that very quickly. We're a large manufacturing facility, but actually, we have small locker rooms, we have smallish canteen facility. So we've had to almost ditch all the meeting rooms, open them all up for extra canteen space, order new locker room, porta cabins, hand washing, improve all our rigorous, cleaning that we do, which obviously being a food factory, we do that anyway. So to do extra is incredible. But it's the biggest one has been, with the technicians, there's lots of 2-man working, 3-man working, big maintenance tasks. That's been the challenge because there's a restriction of space where it's physically not possible to do that. So then you have to buy lifting aids or spend money, not do it, or bring in contractors. That's where it's difficult as a maintenance team. And we've had to review that case by case. So it's almost not a blanket approach, but it's working with the frontline teams when those jobs are given and going out, go see and put a solution in place so that they feel safe. The last thing you want to do is bundle them up in PPE. But sometimes it may come to that, but we'll look at every other kind of means possible before we get to that point.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you're obviously taking good care of your team and putting their safety first. So definitely, again, really appreciate all the work that you are doing, Ben, and the entire team over at PepsiCo. I guess pivoting a little bit into, hopefully something a little bit more lighthearted now. I guess the question that I always ask all of our podcast guests is, what's one thing that you wish more people knew about the maintenance and reliability industry?
It's how much fun you can have. I've spent a lot of time in operations, then started off in engineering, went to operations, and then I just came back, just drawn to the problem solving, the ability to resolve large scale issues. I think I said to you before, but it's having that high five when you've had a failure. Ultimately, as a maintenance team, as a maintenance manager, I don't want to have failures with my equipment, but when you do and you resolve it as a team effort and have that high five moment, it's like a feeling that I've not had in any other kind of sector of the business. And the team love it. The team, there's a big drive. The team love fixing things. They love getting a resolution, putting things to bed. It's for me, that's what I love about maintenance and reliability. And with PepsiCo, there's a lot of stuff, whether it's financial or not. You can almost go after anything and change stuff for the good.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no bounds.
Absolutely. Surprisingly, I've heard that once or twice where, this field is very gratifying when it's almost like a puzzle, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And once you get that thing turning, then it just feels so gratifying. So I definitely think that's something that more people outside of our industry can and should know as well. What are some different ways that all of our listeners can connect with you and follow you on your journey in maintenance reliability?
So mine is if you can connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm a massive LinkedIn user. I put out quite a bit of content myself, not on par with yourself, Ryan, but that's the best way to connect with me. I'm always looking to connect with like-minded people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for joining us. And thank you to all of our listeners for tuning into today's Masterminds of Maintenance. My name is Ryan Chan. I'm the CEO and founder of Upkeep. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email directly at ryan@onupkeep.com. Until next time, thanks again, Ben.
Thank you, Ryan. Cheers. Thank you.